Hey, what's up? Arkey here again. Today I'm going to talk about the Resto Arena gameplay basic strategies. So if you're new to the Shaman class and possibly planning on trying out some arenas soon, well, this video is going to cover the basics. So afterwards you have a pretty much a overall idea on how you should play your Shaman. Keep in mind, I'm not going to talk about team strategies because it really does depend on your composition. So I can't really cover that, and also I'm not going to cover technical aspects such as gear glyphs and specs. I'm really going to focus on the basics of Resto Arena. So if you look at Resto Shamans and compare them to other healers available in the game right now, well, you'll notice that Shamans excel at 4 different things. They have extremely high healing output without hard casting, they have amazing CC avoidance, they have good mobility and good utility. They also have a few weaknesses, such as they're very vulnerable to hard swaps and they rely on teammates while under a lot of pressure. So let's look at all these aspects one at a time, and I'll toss in some extra tips just to help you out. So first of all, high healing output. Well, as a shaman, most of your healing is done without hard casting, which is a great thing. The idea behind successfully keeping your partners alive is to minimize the amount of hard casting you need to do. When I say hard casting, I mean actually casting a spell as opposed to using an instant cast spell. Big heals such as Greater Healing Wave and Healing Wave are risky to cast since you're exposing yourself to potential lockouts or silences. In order to minimize the amount of big heals needed, you need to offset the damage your partners take using all your passive and instant cast healing spells. You can then fill the gaps with bigger heals. If you're wondering, Greater Healing Wave is a lot more mana efficient and a lot more powerful than Healing Surge, regardless of your stats. Now here are the most important spells you should be using as much as possible. Healing Stream Totem, Cleansing Spirit, Earth Shield, Stoneclaw Totem, Unleash Life, and Riptide. Healing Stream Totem is a great tool that can pump out up to 3k healing per second in threes, definitely worth keeping down in range. Use it over Mana Spring and make sure you have it talented. Cleansing Spirit is your defensive dispel ability. Using it once every 6 seconds will provide you with a solid 7k heal. This effect can also crit and is affected by your mastery. Keep in mind, dispelling enemy dots is also a great way to mitigate incoming damage. Earth Shield is an important tool. It provides amazing passive healing in addition to increasing your direct healing spells by 18%. Earth Shield should always be your first spell when trying to keep someone under pressure alive, including yourself. When glyphed, Stoneclaw Totem gives you a 16.5k absorb shield. It's great to use whenever you're taking damage. Use it every time it's off cooldown. It's also great to use when you're about to dispel unstable affliction. It mitigates most of the effect. It can also be used when silenced or locked out of any school. Unleash Life is an amazing spell that can also be used when silenced. It heals you for a small amount and increases the effect of your next healing spell by 30% when talented. And Riptide. Well, Riptide is the spec's core healing spell. As you can see from this sample, Riptide is about half of your healing output, and about 75% of the Riptide healing comes from the healing over time buff portion of the spell. There are quite a few things you can do to maximize the hot effect. In fact, this is one of the most important aspects of Resto. Let's say a regular Riptide ticks for 3.3k. The effect can also crit and is affected by your mastery, and scales quite well with it to be honest, but let's forget about these factors for now. If you have a spell power increasing effect of any kind, Riptide will tick for more even after that effect falls off or gets dispelled. Notice how Riptide now ticks for slightly more with Flame Tongue Totem down. Using the Focus Insight talent, Riptide will tick for an additional 30%, which brings the tick value above 4.4k. Let's try the same thing, this time with Earth Shield on. This brings the hot value to 5.1k. Notice how even after Earth Shield is removed, Riptide still ticks for the same amount. So once the hot is up and ticking, you can switch Earth Shield around and you'll still get the full benefit. Now let's try all this stuff together and add Unleash Elements and a short spell power increasing effect such as the Engineering Glove enchant. All this stuff together brings Riptide's hot value above 6k, which is almost twice the initial amount. At this point, the hot may crit for 12k as well, and that's before Mastery even kicks in, which would increase the hot by roughly another 20% on average. So I hope you understand that Riptide is the biggest source of healing, and maximizing its effect is critical in order to minimize the amount of hard casting needed to keep your partners alive. Combine this trick with all the other instant cast heals, switch your earth shield often, and you won't have to risk hard casting that much. Next topic, high CC avoidance. As a shaman, your main strength from your teammates' point of view is that you are able to prevent CC on yourself very effectively. Now that Wind Shear is on a 15-second cooldown, it should mostly be used to stop a CC such as a Fear, a Polymorph, or a Cyclone. In order to shear properly, you should have at least a focused Wind Shear macro like this one. If your Wind Shear is on cooldown, you can also use Grounding Totem to prevent CC, but Grounding Totem has far better uses than simply grounding a spammable spell like a Polymorph. You can use Grounding Totem to prevent spells on relatively long cooldowns such as a Hex. You can also use it to protect a hard cast from a spell lock, counterspell, or silence. All you have to do is drop it, start casting, and this will protect you for the time you need to hard cast. For more cool tricks you can do with Grounding Totem, check out my Grounding Totem video. Number 3, good mobility. Well, thanks to Ghost Wolf, you can usually get to wherever you need to be fairly quickly enough. Positioning is key as a shaman. Use Ghost Wolf to reach safe spots. You should also use it to kite melee classes when possible. You'll usually want to be standing behind teammates, close to boxes against casters, and relatively in the open against melee classes. Let's say you're playing on the Grand Arena. Try standing in the back where you have line of sight for heals on your teammates, but where your enemies are unable to cast CC on you. This also applies to melee classes with instant CC such as Pharaohs, Enhancement Shamans, or Ret Paladins. If they decide to switch to you, stand where your teammates can control them and DPS them hard. Try to force them to overextend. This will cause their healer to be in a bad spot where he can be CC'd and or swapped to. Number 4, good utility. Assist your teammates with Purge, Hex, and Frost Shock. This really does depend on your comp though. So talk to your teammates and figure out the best possible use for all that. But in general, you can use Purge offensively when going for a kill. If you strip hots and shields off a target, it really adds a lot of pressure. And you can also keep Frost Shock on melee targets. This really adds a lot of pressure on their side. Now about weaknesses. Well, as a shaman, you're kind of vulnerable to hard swaps and you really rely on teammates while under pressure. By a hard switch, I mean the other team switching to you with a lot of DPS cooldowns, a lot of CC on you. When it happens, first thing you want to do is not freak out. Don't pop all your cooldowns at once. First of all, you want to switch Earth Shield to yourself ASAP. Secondly, you want to have a big Riptide on yourself, like I showed earlier. After that, position yourself somewhere where your teammates can help you. Call out for Neo Fear or a Silence or something. You need to be highly aware of the CC that your teammates toss on your enemies. You really need to capitalize on the small windows you have where you can hardcast. Be ready when it happens. Try to have at least Unleash elements up or Focused in sight. And as soon as your teammates start CCing, start hardcasting. Cast a big heal on yourself. And you should be alright for another few seconds. And just rinse and repeat the next time you need another big heal. If you need to use a cooldown, choose it well, or you might have to use another one right after. Spirit Link Totem is great when getting cleaved by melee. It mitigates a lot of pressure over a few seconds. It's really effective when you have Riptides rolling on all your teammates. It also breaks CC such as Blind and Poly. Nature's Swiftness is usually better used on another person when you can't really get to them for a Spirit Link. If you're going to use it on yourself, make it a big heal at least with Unleash elements, and make sure you have big hots rolling to top yourself afterwards. If you're a dwarf, you can Stone Form Wound Poison off and make it a really big heal. Well, this is it for now, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more.
Dancing, he's dancing.
Very graceful.
Dancing on Arkey. Trying to really.
I got a haul here in a second. Get everybody.
Popping Fiend on the mage. Big damage on mage. Kind of LS, and it's not happening. Rogue opened up on me.